The massive view screen aboard the ESS Hawking, filled with the ghostly image of what First Officer Sarah Chen could only describe as a graveyard of titans. Countless derelict vessels, each larger than anything humanity had ever constructed, drifted in the eternal night of deep space. But one ship in particular dominated the scene, a behemoth that defied conventional understanding. Preliminary scans complete, Commander, Lieutenant Park announced from his station, his voice tight with barely contained excitement. The vessel is approximately 15 kilometers in length. Material composition, unknown. Energy signatures, present but unlike anything in our database. Sarah nodded, maintaining her composure despite her racing heart. After 6 months of following fragmented quantum signals across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, they'd finally found it, the legendary Ascended Fleet. The bridge crew worked in focused silence, broken only by the soft chimes of their instruments. The Galactic Council had dismissed humanity's petition to join this expedition, claiming their primitive understanding of quantum mechanics made them liability. But Sarah's captain had pulled every diplomatic string available to get them here as observers. Incoming transmission from the Council flagship. Communications Officer Rivera reported. They're ordering us to maintain our distance. Again. Sarah suppressed a smile. Acknowledge their transmission, but continue passive scans. We're well within our rights as observers. The massive supercarrier drew her attention again. Unlike the sleek, almost organic designs favored by the Council races, this vessel was all hard angles and deliberate geometry. Something about it tickled at the edge of her consciousness, a familiar pattern she couldn't quite place. Commander, Park's voice cut through her thoughts. I'm detecting something unusual in the carrier's power signature. It's pulsing, almost like a heartbeat. Sarah finished, the realization hitting her. It's maintaining a perfect Fibonacci sequence. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Council's finest minds had spent decades studying these ruins, declaring them functionally dead. Yet here was a clear pattern, not random energy fluctuations, but a deliberate mathematical sequence. Ma'am, Rivera called out, his dark eyes wide. The Council scientists are detecting it too. They're saying it's impossible, that our instruments must be malfunctioning. Sarah straightened her uniform, a decision crystallizing in her mind. Lieutenant Park, prepare a detailed analysis of that power signature. Rivera, get me a secure channel to Captain Walsh. The rest of you, not a word of this to our Council friends. Not yet. As her crew scrambled to comply, Sarah studied the ancient supercarrier. The Council saw these ruins as relics to be studied from a safe distance, their technology too advanced to be understood by lesser species. But Sarah saw something different. She saw possibility. The ascendant civilization had vanished at the height of their power, leaving behind only mysteries and ruins. The Council had spent centuries trying to unlock their secrets using increasingly exotic technologies. But what if that was precisely the wrong approach? What if the key wasn't in quantum neural interfaces or zero-point energy manipulators? Channel secure, Commander, Rivera announced. Captain Walsh is standing by. Sarah took a deep breath. What she was about to propose would either end her career or change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The familiar pattern she'd recognized in the carrier's design wasn't just mathematical. It was architectural. The whole vessel's structure followed principles eerily similar to ancient Earth naval designs, scaled up to cosmic proportions. Captain, she began as Walsh's weathered face appeared on her private screen. I believe we found something extraordinary. But to prove it, we're going to have to break almost every protocol in the book. Walsh's expression remained neutral, but Sarah caught the slight twinkle in his eye. Tell me more, Commander. Tell me why we should risk a diplomatic incident with the Council. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Because, sir, I don't think these ruins are dead at all. I think they've just been waiting for the right kind of key. And I believe humanity might have been carrying that key all along without even knowing it. As she laid out her theory to the captain, The ancient supercarrier loomed in the background, its power signature pulsing in that perfect mathematical sequence, like a heartbeat, like a signal, like an invitation waiting to be answered. 12 hours after their initial discovery, Sarah stood in what she believed to be the ancient carrier's bridge, her flashlight beam cutting through darkness that had lasted millennia. Despite the Council's protests, Captain Walsh had authorized a small exploration team, though they'd been forced to accept a Council observer, a tall crystalline being called Sentinel Vaxtris. "This is foolishness," Vaxtris chimed, their crystalline form refracting the team's lights into dancing patterns. The Council's finest quantum neural interfaces failed to establish any meaningful connection with these systems. What do you hope to accomplish with such primitive methods? Dr. Maya Rodriguez, the team's chief engineer, ignored the commentary as she studied a massive console. Her fingers traced patterns in the thick layer of dust coating its surface. "Commander Chen, look at this. These grooves, these patterns, they're not randomware." Sarah moved closer, her breath catching as she recognized what Maya had found. The console's surface was marked with intricate channels and ridges, almost like, "It's a circuit board," she breathed. "An actual physical circuit board, but on a massive scale." "Impossible," Vaxtris chimed dismissively. "No advanced civilization would rely on such crude electron pathways when quantum entanglement." "With respect, Sentinel," Maya interrupted, pulling tools from her kit. "Sometimes the oldest solutions are the most reliable. Think about it. Quantum systems are powerful but delicate. Physical circuits might be slower, but they're far more resilient. They can survive power losses, radiation storms, even temporal distortions." Sarah watched as Maya carefully attached diagnostic leads to various points on the console. The engineer had modified standard equipment to interface with the ancient technology, a hack that had horrified their Council observers, but felt right to Sarah's instincts. "Dr. Rodriguez," called out Lieutenant Zhang from across the bridge, "getting some strange readings from the structural analysis. The entire command center, it's built like a Faraday cage. But the shielding, it's not just electromagnetic. It's like it's designed to isolate this space from multiple dimensions simultaneously." A wild theory began forming in Sarah's mind. "Maya, what if all this physical circuitry isn't primitive at all? What if it's intentional? A safeguard against quantum interference?" Maya's eyes lit up as she made the connection. The Council's quantum interfaces, they weren't failing to connect. They were being actively blocked. "That's preposterous," Vaxtris began, but fell silent as Maya's diagnostic panel suddenly hummed to life, displaying readings in an ancient script that somehow felt familiar to Sarah's eyes. "Look at this pattern," Maya whispered, pointing to scrolling figures. "It's base 10 mathematics. Just like human numerical systems," Sarah finished. The implications were staggering. Either the Ascendants had independently developed the same mathematical foundation as humanity, or a deep vibration suddenly ran through the deck plates beneath their feet. Lights, dormant for countless ages, began to flicker to life around them. Not the harsh, efficient illumination favored by Council ships, but a warm, almost organic glow that reminded Sarah of sunset on Earth. "What did you do?" Vaxtris demanded, their crystalline form vibrating with alarm. "We didn't do anything," Maya replied, staring at her readings in wonder. "The ship, it's responding to our presence, to our bioelectric fields. Commander, it's like it recognizes us." More systems were activating now, displays shimmering into existence around them. The script was alien, yet Sarah found she could almost understand it, as if the meaning was being transmitted directly into her mind. "This can't be happening," Vaxtris chimed in rising panic. "The Council's greatest experts spent decades, the quantum compatibility protocols, the neural interface standards." "Maybe that was the problem," Sarah said softly, reaching up to touch a glowing console. Under her fingers, symbols shifted and changed, becoming more recognizable with each passing moment. "You tried to force your way in with advanced technology. But these ships, they were designed for a different kind of interface, a more direct connection. The bridge was fully illuminated now, humming with power that had slumbered for millennia. Through the massive viewport, Sarah could see other sections of the supercarrier coming alive, patches of light spreading like dawn across its vast hull. "Maya," she ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "get every sensor we have recording this. Zhang, start mapping these systems. Find out what we can access, what's still dormant. And someone get Captain Walsh on the line. He needs to see this." As her team scrambled to comply, Sarah felt the ship's presence in her mind growing stronger. Not invasive or controlling, but welcoming. Like it had been waiting all this time, not for the most advanced civilization, but for the right one. For humans, the implications would shake the galaxy's understanding of its own history. But right now, Sarah had a more immediate concern. She turned to face the still stunned council observer. "Sentinel Vaxtris," she said carefully, "I believe it's time we had a serious discussion about revising humanity's status in the Galactic Council." The next 72 hours aboard the ancient carrier transformed everything Sarah thought she knew about technological advancement. As more systems awakened under human touch, a pattern emerged that challenged the very foundation of the Council's technological hierarchy. It's like discovering that Leonardo da Vinci had built a quantum computer, Maya explained to the growing team of human, and surprisingly, Council scientists who had set aside their initial skepticism. She stood before a massive holographic display showing the carrier's internal systems, a beautiful fusion of physical and quantum mechanics that defied conventional understanding. But built it using springs, gears, and mechanical linkages alongside quantum processors, Sarah added, watching as new sections of the display lit up with each passing hour. The carrier wasn't just awakening. It was evolving, adapting to human presence in ways that seemed almost deliberate. Even Sentinel Vaxtris had been forced to reconsider their position. Their crystalline form now resonated with frequencies that Sarah had learned to recognize as intense scientific curiosity. "The integration is elegant," they chimed. Physical systems providing redundancy for quantum processes, each supporting the other in ways our finest engineers never considered. The carrier's medical bay had proved especially revolutionary. Dr. Helen Park, their chief medical officer, had discovered that the ancient diagnostic systems operated on principles that bridged the gap between human biology and quantum mechanics. "It's not just analyzing us," Helen explained, showing Sarah the latest readings. "It's establishing a genuine symbiotic relationship with human operators. The more we work with these systems, the more they adapt to our specific neural patterns." Sarah watched as a young technician interfaced with one of the carrier's navigation consoles. The holographic displays shifted and flowed around his hands, responding not just to physical movement, but to his very thoughts, yet without requiring the invasive neural implants that council ships demanded. "We've identified something extraordinary in the ship's quantum core," Maya called out, drawing Sarah's attention to a new set of readings. "It's not just a power source. It's a computational matrix that operates on multiple dimensional levels simultaneously. But here's the thing. It requires human bioelectric fields to achieve stable quantum coherence." As if it was designed specifically for human operators, Sarah mused, the implications sending a shiver down her spine. The Council had always assumed that humanity was a young, primitive species that had somehow stumbled onto the galactic stage. But this discovery suggested a very different story. Lieutenant Zhang's voice crackled over the comm. "Commander, you need to see this. We've accessed what appears to be the carrier's primary weapons control, and, well, you should just come look." Minutes later, Sarah stood in a chamber that defied everything she knew about military technology. The weapons systems were a perfect integration of physical and quantum mechanics. Conventional railguns scaled up to astronomical proportions, their projectiles wrapped in quantum fields that bent space itself. "The kinetic impact alone would be devastating," Zhang explained, his voice filled with awe. But combined with these quantum effects, it's like they found a way to weaponize physics itself, yet made it controllable through simple, intuitive interfaces. That's why the Council's attempts to access these systems failed. Maya added, studying the intricate controls. They were looking for pure quantum weapons, trying to bypass the physical components entirely. But the genius of this design is in the integration. The physical systems provide control and stability, while the quantum effects provide power and reach. Sarah's community chimed, Captain Walsh requesting an update. As she prepared her report, she couldn't help but feel that they were standing on the edge of something momentous. The carrier wasn't just a warship. It was a bridge between humanity's past and future, between physical and quantum reality. Dr. Rodriguez, she called out, a new thought forming. Could we adapt some of our current technology to interface with these systems? Not replace them, but enhance them. Maya's eyes lit up with the challenge. The carrier systems are already adapting to us. If we could introduce some of our modern innovations while maintaining the basic architecture. She trailed off, fingers flying across her datapad. Commander, we might be able to create something entirely new. Not just ancient technology restored, but evolved. A true fusion of past and future. Vaxtris chimed thoughtfully. Perhaps this is why the carrier responded to humans. You still maintain that balance between physical and quantum understanding that we lost in our pursuit of pure energy states. Sarah looked around the chamber, at human and council scientists working together, boundaries of species and ideology falling away in the face of discovery. The carrier had done more than just wake up. It had opened a door to possibilities that neither civilization had imagined alone. Begin the integration analysis, she ordered. But carefully. We're not just restoring this ship. We're about to transform it into something the galaxy has never seen before. And something tells me we're going to need every advantage it can give us. As her team jumped into action, Sarah felt the carrier's presence in her mind grow stronger, more defined. Not just a machine awakening, but a legacy coming alive. Humanity's legacy, perhaps, though that mystery was still to be unraveled. For now, they had work to do and a future to forge. The emergency alert pierced through the carrier's bridge at 300 ship time, jerking Sarah from her focused work on the navigation systems. The Council's quantum networks were lighting up with distress signals from the Omega sector, a region of space that hadn't seen conflict in over 3 centuries. Multiple quantum ruptures detected. Lieutenant John reported, his fingers dancing across the newly integrated console. Energy signatures unlike anything in Council records. They're just tearing through the defense grid like it isn't there. The main view screen shifted to show tactical data streaming in from Council vessels. Sarah's blood ran cold as she watched a Confederation battle group, ships that could each devastate a small planet, vanish in bursts of quantum fire. Getting reports from Council High Command. Communications Officer Rivera announced, his voice tight. They're calling them the Void Hunters. No warning, no demands. They're just consuming everything in their path. Maya burst onto the bridge, her normally neat appearance disheveled from hours of work in the engineering sections. Commander, you need to see these readings. The quantum distortions the attackers are using. They're similar to principles we found in the carrier's defensive systems, but twisted, corrupted somehow. Sarah's mind raced. In the 3 weeks since they'd begun integrating human technology with the carrier's ancient systems, they'd barely scratched the surface of its capabilities. But now they were out of time. Council ships are falling back to defensive positions, Zhang updated. But their quantum shields aren't holding against these attacks. It's like the Void Hunters can simply ignore the quantum barrier frequencies, because they're not trying to brute force through them. Sarah realized, studying the attack patterns. They're using the quantum fields themselves as weapons, turning the defenders' own shields against them. She turned to Maya. Could we use the carrier's hybrid systems to counter this? Maya's fingers flew across her datapad. The physical components we integrated might provide the stability we need. If we can synchronize the quantum fields through the mechanical systems, She looked up, eyes bright with possibility. It's risky, but it might work. Incoming transmission from Council High Command. Rivera cut in. They're requesting our assistance, specifically requesting the carrier. A hush fell over the bridge. The Council, which had spent centuries treating humanity as barely evolved primitives, was now turning to them for help. The irony might have been satisfying if the stakes weren't so catastrophically high. Tell them we're on our way, Sarah ordered. Maya, how quickly can we get the defensive systems fully operational? The integration is only at 60%, but the basic frameworks are in place. We'll have to finish the calibrations en route. If the physical systems can handle the strain, they'll hold, Sarah stated with a confidence she wasn't entirely sure she felt. Zhang, plot a course to the Omega sector. Rivera, get me Captain Walsh and Council Command on secure channels. We need to coordinate our approach. As the bridge crew jumped into action, Sarah felt the carrier's presence in her mind strengthen, as if it too sensed the coming battle. The vast ship, now a unique fusion of ancient wisdom and human innovation, hummed with power that hadn't been wielded in millennia. Multiple Void Hunter vessels on an intercept course, Zhang reported. They've detected us. Energy readings are spiking. They're preparing to attack. Sarah took her position at the command station, feeling the integrated systems respond to her presence. Around her, human and council crew worked in perfect synchronization, their differences forgotten in the face of extinction. All hands, battle stations, she ordered, her voice carrying through the carrier's vast halls. Maya, bring the hybrid systems online. Let's show these Void Hunters what happens when you combine the best of past and present. The first quantum strikes hit just as their own systems came online. But where other ships had shattered under such attacks, the carrier's hybrid defenses held. Physical and quantum shields working in harmony, each supporting the other, creating a defense that the Void Hunters couldn't simply phase through. Return fire, Sarah commanded. All batteries. The carrier's response was devastating. Railguns of impossible scale launched projectiles wrapped in quantum fields, while repurposed Council technology created distortions that the enemy couldn't predict or evade. It was neither purely physical nor purely quantum. It was something entirely new. Enemy vessels adapting, Zhang called out. They're trying to match our quantum frequencies. Let them try, Maya responded with fierce pride. Our frequencies are grounded through physical systems. They can't corrupt what they can't fully digitize. As the battle raged, Sarah felt a deep certainty settle over her. The carrier hadn't been waiting for the most advanced civilization to find it. It had been waiting for one that still understood the value of balance between the physical and quantum, the old and new, the simple and complex. It had been waiting for humanity all along. In the aftermath of the battle, Sarah stood before the Council's emergency session, the massive chamber filled with representatives from every member species. The holographic displays behind her showed the decisive engagement. The ancient carrier, enhanced by human innovation, standing against the Void Hunter fleet that had threatened to consume the galaxy. The attack was not random, she explained, her voice carrying through the chamber. The Void Hunters weren't just raiders or conquerors. They were a test, left behind by the Ascendants themselves. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Sentinel Vaxtress, now acting as humanity's advocate, chimed in harmonious support. The evidence is undeniable. The quantum patterns we extracted from their weapon systems carried markers identical to those found in the carrier's core database. Maya stepped forward, bringing up new holographic data. The Ascendants didn't just disappear, she continued. They created the Void Hunters as guardians, programmed to emerge when they detected civilizations reaching certain technological thresholds. But they weren't meant to destroy us. They were meant to challenge us. A test of balance, Sarah added. The Void Hunters specifically targeted quantum-based technologies, exploiting our over-reliance on pure energy states and digital processes. They were designed to be unbeatable by any civilization that had abandoned physical systems entirely. The Council's prime speaker, a beam of pure light and thought, dimmed momentarily in contemplation. Yet your hybrid vessel, this fusion of ancient technology and human innovation, proved effective where our most advanced ships failed. Why? Because humanity never fully abandoned the physical, Sarah explained. We maintained that balance, even as we reached for the stars. Our ships still have manual controls alongside quantum interfaces. Our computers still use silicon chips alongside quantum processors. We never saw simple solutions as primitive. We saw them as foundational. The chamber erupted in discussion, countless species debating the implications. The prime speaker raised an appendage of light, restoring order. And the carrier itself. Its response to human operators suggests a connection we cannot ignore. Sarah took a deep breath. This was the moment that would rewrite galactic history. The carrier's database contained more than weapon schematics. It held the Ascendant's final message, a message we've only now managed to decode. The chamber fell silent as Sarah activated the final hologram. Ancient script flowed through the air, transforming into modern languages. The Ascendants didn't vanish, she revealed. They seeded themselves throughout the galaxy, spreading their genetic material across countless worlds. They became part of the evolutionary path of many species, but only one retained the precise balance they sought to preserve. Humanity. Vaxtris chimed softly. We're their descendants, Maya confirmed. Not their only descendants, but the ones who most closely maintained their original vision. The carrier wasn't just waiting for someone to find it. It was waiting for us to remember who we are. The implications shook the Council to its foundations. Humanity wasn't just some primitive species that had stumbled onto the galactic stage. They were the inheritors of the Ascendant's legacy, carrying in their very DNA the balance between physical and quantum understanding that the Council races had sacrificed in their pursuit of pure energy states. The Void Hunters have withdrawn, Sarah continued, their purpose fulfilled. But they left us with a choice. We can continue down the path of pure quantum advancement, eventually losing touch with the physical world entirely. Or we can learn from this, embrace the balance that the Ascendants try to preserve. She gestured to the mixed crew of humans and Council species who had crewed the carrier together. We've already proven what we can achieve when we combine our strengths. The carrier isn't just a weapon or a relic. It's a bridge between methodologies, between species, between past and future. The prime speaker's light pulsed with decision. Humanity's status in the Council will be elevated immediately. Furthermore, we propose the creation of a new division, the Bridge Initiative. Under joint human and Council leadership, it will explore the integration of physical and quantum technologies across all member species. Sarah felt a weight lift from her shoulders as cheers and chimes of approval filled the chamber. The carrier's presence in her mind hummed with satisfaction, its purpose finally fulfilled. Not just as a defender of civilization, but as a reminder of the balance that gave birth to that civilization in the first place. There will be challenges ahead, she told the assembly. Questions to answer, technologies to develop, boundaries to push. But we'll face them together, grounded in physical reality, even as we reach for the quantum stars. As the Council session concluded, Sarah looked out at the vast array of species represented in the chamber. Each had their own strengths, their own perspectives, their own pieces of the cosmic puzzle. And humanity, it seemed, had been carrying the key all along, not because they were superior, but because they had never stopped asking the simple questions even as they reached for complex answers. The carrier waited in orbit above, no longer just an ancient relic, but a symbol of what was possible when wisdom and innovation worked in harmony. It was time for humanity to take its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as bridges between what was and what could be. The next chapter of galactic history was about to begin, and this time, they would write it together.